Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation as part of the Industry Insight webinar series. The topic this time is Becoming a Mobile Lawyer. Speaking today will be Ilya Draitser, Director of Customer Engineering for Mobile Helix, and Maureen Blando, Vice President of Sales for Mobile Helix. The Industry Insight webinar series is hosted by the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center. To stay updated on upcoming webinars or view previous videos, visit ambar.org/industryinsight. That's ambar.org/industryinsight. You can also stay updated on legal technology news through our blog, www.lawtechnologytoday.org. The presentation today will be followed by a Q&A. Please enter your questions into the question box in the webinar panel on the right side of your screen. All questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. We are recording this webinar, and we will be sending the video in a follow-up email in a few days. We will also post the video on our blog, which again is www.lawtechnologytoday.org. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll now begin the webinar.
Thank you, Rose. Good day, everyone. I am Maureen Blando, and I'm going to start the webinar today by showing you 3 quick slides, and then we will move to the focus of our webinar, which is the demo of Link. We hear from lawyers that they're eager to do more work from their smartphones and tablets, and of course one of the major reasons is they'd like to be responsive to their clients, but also they'd like to capture any 10 or 15 minutes that they can while they're on the go to be productive. Lawyers, like all of us, would like a user experience that's simple and intuitive, and because of the confidential and proprietary nature of the data which lawyers are working with, the solution that they use for mobility must be encrypted, and it must be secure while not putting any restrictions on the personal usage of the device. However, in the real world today, generally lawyers can access their email and read their email, and they're typically having to defer action because they may need to review a file that they can't get access to, or they may need to send a file to a client that they can't access. So sometimes trying to work while mobile can become complicated and frustrating, and we have questions like, how do I connect to my files? What apps does my firm use, and how can I get to those firms? So today, for the most part, getting work done means being in the office. Our solution is our Link mobile app. It is a single encrypted mobile app that gives you access to your document management system. Today we support WorkSite and NetDocuments, and we have Worldox and eDocs in development and coming soon. You also get access to your Outlook, your email contacts, calendar, and notes in our mobile optimized interface, fully synced with your Outlook at your desktop. You can access SharePoint, both your files and your lists, and if your firm has any files that are on file shares, such as CIFS file shares, you can access those as well. Lastly, Link can give you access to any intranet applications that your firm is using. By that I mean applications that you can see in a browser on your desktop, and common examples of this would be a CRM application or a time and billing application. And now I am going to introduce Ilya Draitser. Ilya is going to show you the demo today, and he's going to be focusing on the features of Link and workflows that are supported in Link that are useful for attorneys.
Thank you, Maureen. Thanks for that introduction. Hello, everybody. Good day. My name is Ilya Draitser. I'm the Director of Customer Engineering here at Mobile Helix, and that means I work directly with our customers in both pre-sales, demo capacity, as well as with our deployments. And so the demo I'd like to show you today is of the Link mobile app. You should all see it on your screens at this point. I'm using an iPad in landscape mode because it tends to demo well in webinar settings, but rest assured our app is equally functional on a phone or smaller screen device, and we definitely support the same functionality across the tablet-sized devices and the various smaller screen phones. The demo today will really focus on 3 things. First, our email client. As Maureen mentioned, our email client has a lot of great features that are directly tied to your files, to your documents that live in document management. And so there's some very cool workflows that I will show you that our customers and our users have found to be very useful. The probably nicest thing about our email client is that it doesn't require you to switch to our email client, right? It has very awesome features. However, you are welcome to continue using your email client of choice. We certainly learned that everybody has very unique and specific preferences about email, and while our client has some great features, other clients that you may want to use, you can continue to do that. So we'll look at the email client first, and then we'll look at what we call filebox here in the middle of the top row. Filebox is our central repository for all of your document sources. And as Maureen mentioned, we include things like document management systems, including WorkSite and NetDocuments. We include your file shares from network sources. We include files that you may have in SharePoint libraries. And so I will demonstrate everything that you can do with files, as well as the integration of documents and email. And then the third subject will be various intranet applications. As you can see on the bottom row, I have access to SharePoint and Time 59. So enough talk. Let's jump right into it. Email. So if I tap on the email icon on this landing page of ours, that opens up our email client. And again, in an iPad landscape mode, it's split into two columns. On a phone, it would be a single column, but the functionality is the same. So again, there's very many different email clients. So let's just start with some of the features that ours offers, right? So if you click on this link menu, what you guys should see is a ribbon menu on the left. And if I just go from the top down, obviously refresh, we have access to all of your folders, local folders and the Exchange sort of server-based folders. We have access to your local contacts, but also to the entire global directory. So should you wish to search for a colleague that's in an office, maybe in a different location or something like that, you certainly can. We have calendar integration with your Outlook calendar, which includes the free busy scheduler. So if you wanted to, say, reschedule a meeting while you're in a restaurant having lunch, you could certainly pull up the free busy view of your colleagues and identify the correct time slot to propose. We have notes, we have tasks, and then the paperclip towards the bottom is really the first interesting thing I'd like to show you. So clicking the paperclip brings up all of my attachments that I've ever sent or received in the last 60 days, and they're all available here. So as you can see, you're not looking at emails which contain attachments, which sometimes is useful. You know, if I know I have an email sent over the last week, it has an attachment, that might be a way to find it. But what we found is folks really are just interested in the attachments themselves. So if you've been passing around a document back and forth for review, or if you know that you received some document over the last few weeks, you just don't remember from whom or from what email address. So we have this view where you can simply pull up a list of all the attachments that's in any of your folders. And now that I have these attachments, I can do two very neat things. One, of course, is I can look at one of these attachments. So if I wanted to just pull up this brief and review it, read it, then obviously I can do that. Oops, wrong button. The close. The other thing you can do is you can grab one or more of these. For example, I'll grab this one and this one, and I can actually attach them into a new email. So if I needed to send these out to a colleague for further revision, for example, I can do that. In fact, I can even click on one of these and rename it right over here, right? So if you have an attachment that has a bunch of internal versioning information or something like that, or if you have a client name in it and you'd like to delete that client name or you'd like to delete the versioning before you send the email with this attachment, we make it incredibly easy to do that. So that is one of the rather useful features that our users are very happy about. And again, you can do this from a phone. So you can sort of imagine a typical scenario. You go out to dinner and you get an email from your boss or a critical client, or you get a document that you've been waiting on, and they are asking you to send them something that they previously sent to you, maybe. So you can do that very simply from your phone. And while we're on that subject, one of the very nice things about all this is the security element. So my system is connected into our corporate Exchange server behind the firewall, of course. And the credentials that I'm using, they're not stored on my device. They're not stored on some cloud provider. They're literally, when you authenticate with AD, or the domain, those credentials are encrypted and they're stored behind your firewall on the server there. So there's no security problems with that. The other thing is all of these attachments which you just saw, they're not actually on my device. I can see them, I can compose a new email and attach them, but they're not actually living on my device. And if I wanted to open it, which I did earlier, then of course it is living on my device, but in that case it's encrypted and it is put inside our secure container. That container may be wiped at the request of IT or at the command of IT, but it doesn't wipe out your whole device, it just wipes the container. And furthermore, every item in the container is date stamped, so even if there is no request to wipe the container, after a certain period of time, which of course is configurable, those items are going to automatically delete themselves. So from a secure point of view, our goal was to provide a secure and fully featured email client, and that's what we have done here. So as you can see, I can pull up a list of all the attachments. We also have the ability to sort and to filter. So for example, if I just want to pull up my unread emails and put those at the top, that's very easy to do, right? So these are now all of my unread emails, and then I have other stuff that I've read. We also support the idea of importance or the idea of flagging emails. You can also file the emails, of course, to any of the aforementioned folders. And then the other thing I can do is I could pull up a list of all the emails with attachments, for example, and here they are, read and unread. So now I can work with this attachment very easily, which is great. Now the other thing is, what about sending a document to a client and that document is inside your document management system? Well, we make that very easy to do as well. So I simply tap the button at the top right to compose a new email. And then I have access to, of course, the camera roll and the pictures, but also the paperclip again. So if I click that paperclip on the middle left of the screen, what you see is I have access to all of my behind the firewall document sources. So we have NetDocuments, we have WorkSite, we have team files across different network shares, and I even have some documents in SharePoint libraries. And I can pull any of those up and send them. So for example, if I wanted to send Maureen the latest copy of one of these briefs that I happen to be working on, so it's in my favorites, I can simply grab it and attach it and send it off to Maureen, for example. And that email is going to, again, send the attachment, but the attachment is actually on the server side, right? So the attachment, I don't have to save that document to my local device first and then somehow attach it. I don't have to switch to a different app to pull up the document and then throw it over as an email. I can simply, all from one screen, I can access my document management sources, grab a document, attach it to an email, and hit send. Done. Yeah, that's fine. Empty subject, no problem. All right, so these are some of the key features of our email client. And again, there's very specific things that you may want to do with our email client, such as access your documents or pull up a list of attachments. But you're not tied to it. You don't have to completely gut and replace your native email client with ours. So it's a great, secure way to access your information, and you're not connected to it at the hip, so to speak. We talked about the address book. We have calendar, so that's pretty self-explanatory. So that is, in a nutshell, some of the key features of our email client. And so now I'd like to go back to our home screen and pull up the file box. And as I mentioned, file box is simply our kind of centralized source of all the different file repositories. Now, when you're looking at the file box view, one of the things you may be noticing is at the bottom there's a few different buttons. So there's list and grid, and then there's query. So certainly, if you know there's a document somewhere out there and you're not sure where, one of the nice things about our system is it gives you search capabilities across all of these or some of these different systems. So for example, I can say I'm just going to search in NetDocs and WorkSite. I guess a more realistic example would be more like NetDocs and SharePoint and maybe team files, right? So, and you can search by file, author, etc., even full text searches. All right, so that's something, again, that you can do from a phone when you're sitting at lunch or when you're having a meeting with a client, right? So you could certainly do those things. Now, let's actually look at, let's say, WorkSite. So I'll go into WorkSite, and I have some favorite matters, so we'll go into those. And here I have a PDF and a document. So let's pull up the main menu there and go through some of the options. Obviously, no editing for PDF. But you can see here we can save for offline, or we can share the file securely. And then we do support check-in and check-out when it comes to document management and even SharePoint systems, so certainly files are correctly maintained. And all, by the way, with document management, all of the history that is normally recorded when you're using their desktop clients to open a document or read a document, edit a document, all of that history or the traceability is recorded in the document management system. So yes, it is available. Now, sharing a file is a little bit different than what I showed you previously. So yes, you can use our email client to email an actual copy of the attachment. But if you would rather send a secure link, this is our facility for doing that. So secure share file, basically I can create some, or I can add some recipients. I can choose the expiration for the link, so 1 hour or 1 week. I can select the password type, and then I can either make the document editable or not. So if I take this PDF, the editing doesn't matter, of course. If it were a Word document, if I say that editing is disabled, when I send this to someone, that recipient receives 2 emails. One contains the password and one contains a link. When they click the link, the document is rendered inside their web browser, but they cannot save it. And if you do choose Edit enabled, then they can actually download a copy of that Word document and make changes to it. This has full traceability, so when I send a link to someone, let me cancel this here, cancel. So if you look on the bottom right, there's a button called Links. These are all the links that I have sent out. So I have previously, oh, that didn't work. I previously sent out a link, but that didn't work again. So we'll skip that. There's a glitch there, obviously. There is a screen both on my local device, but also in the back office, if you will. The central control panel does contain a list of everybody's links, and you can certainly choose to invalidate a link, or you can choose to delete the link. So if you accidentally sent the wrong document, you can certainly change what the link points to. So there's traceability, there's a little bit more security, and there is a way to control the content that's being sent out to external parties. So you can do that with our client. Okay. So then we have Word doc here, so we can click on Edit again. If I save it for offline usage, as you can imagine, it would be available in offline. But if I actually just tap and open the document, as soon as the document downloads to the device, it's actually available inside My Files at the bottom of the screen. So if you have a long document and you start reading some of it and then you lose connectivity, or you have to go into court, or you jump on a train, you can certainly continue to work with that document. Same goes for email, right? You can continue to use your email in offline mode, and everything will synchronize with the server when you go back online. So the other thing we can do, of course, is open the document for, let's see, gotta get the right menu there, so we can open the document for editing, and that should render. This is taking a little bit here, but editing documents, there's a couple of things you should know. We have started to develop our own Word editor, which kind of makes sense and seems like the way to go. But what we found is there's just too much in the legal space, especially with formatting and with all sorts of things. So basically, we are working on an enhanced editing capability by using Office for iOS, right? So if you have Office for iPad or Office for iPhone, you can have a fully featured document experience. And then, so that functionality is coming in Q2, so I cannot demonstrate that. And okay, so there's no, okay, anyway, so document editing, basically in Q2, we will have a fully featured editor for the ability to edit with the native Office for iPad or Office for other devices. So that's coming soon. So you can definitely work with documents today. The other thing we're doing is working on annotations. So if any of you are wondering about annotations, that's on our roadmap as well, and so we will have that shortly. All right, so filebox is over here, email, and finally we talked a little bit about other applications that are on your intranet. So SharePoint comes to mind, of course, and we can pull up SharePoint. Now, what I'm pulling up right now is the actual full SharePoint web view. This is exactly pretty much the same thing that I would see in a desktop browser if I were at my office. The nice thing about this, of course, is I can pull up the same view on my phone when I am, once again, out on the beach or at the golf course. All right, so you can certainly do that, and you can have access to whatever you're doing, for those of you who are using SharePoint, right? The other thing we have is this SharePoint app, which is really just a simple list rendering, and this is much better for a smaller screen device. So if you use an expertise directory or if you use tasks or discussions or anything else that's a SharePoint list, then you can actually pull it up without having to pull up the whole web-based interface, and this, of course, renders much more cleanly on a smaller screen device, so we have that. But really, any application that's inside your firewall that is hosted on your servers that you want to access on a mobile device, we can certainly provide that. Time59 is a simple time and billing application, which we can access by simply pulling it up here, and you can log in. I didn't set up the automatic credential entry, which we do have, so my apologies for that. So just to recap what I talked about before turning it back over to Maureen, email client, we have some very unique functionality specifically around the workflows of dealing with documents, right? We all sort of live and breathe with our documents, and we tend to work a lot with them. And so the ability to identify or locate attachments, the ability to forward an attachment to someone else, change the name of the attachment before it goes out, or simply to get a list of all of your emails that have the attachments, you can do all this, and again, it's all in a secure container, so there's no risk of losing the device or having it fall in the wrong hands, etc. The filebox capability, which just lets you work with your documents, read them. As I said, editing is coming soon, to save them for offline access, to share them securely with external parties. So that is something that we excel at. And so really, our product is all about the integration between the various document sources that you all use and email. And as you can see, the two are very tightly integrated. And then there's the third bucket, which is really the various applications that you have inside your firewall. And wouldn't it be nice to access them from your mobile device, again, when you're out on a lunch or a meeting or the golf course or the beach? And the answer, of course, is yes. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Maureen now. Thank you all very much.
Very good. Thank you, Ilya. Appreciate that.
There you go, Maureen.
Thank you. And so I just have a couple more slides for you all. One of the things I want to let you know is that Link is very cost-effective, and it's very straightforward to deploy. The licensing model for Link is very simple. It costs $90 per user per year. There are actually no other fees, and with that kind of pricing, law firms tell us that they achieve return on their investment in the first month or sometimes in the first week, but it's very cost-effective for law firms. Also, Link is flexible in terms of the deployment model. It can be deployed on premises, in which case it would be deployed on a VM. Link can be hosted in our cloud. And there's also a hybrid way to deploy Link where, for example, the reverse proxy would reside in your DMZ, but the rest of the Link software, like the control panel, could reside in our cloud. And lastly, it is easy to get started with Link. We would welcome you to take our free 30-day trial. There is no charge for deployment or support, and it is supported by our engineers. Again, via that model, it can be deployed on-prem, or if you just want to do a quick and easy trial, totally hosting it in our cloud, you can do that as well, or a hybrid. And what you get is access to your Outlook, your document management system, WorkSite or NetDocuments, etc., your SharePoint, including that mobile app that Ilya showed you, and any other files that you may have on your network drive. So we help you to get all of that up and running, and then you can use it and other users in your firm can test it for that 30 days. If you would like to take the 30-day trial, just go to mobilehelix.com/try-link, and we'll ask you for a little contact information, and then we'll be more than happy to get in touch with you and get you set up to start the trial.